Welcome, everyone, back to the Medicare Team podcast. It is me, Joshua Uster, here, joined by our guest here, Chris. Chris, how long have you been helping people with their Medicare?
Yeah, so I got my license in 2019, but really started in 2020. And part of the reason I got in, my dad had a heart attack. I saw my family struggle with, the finances that come with medical expenses. So got me interested to, get into a business that I'm able to serve and help people and really educate them on, what's covered, what's not, and how they can protect themselves before something happens.
Nice. And today we've got a very interesting topic: home health care. So a lot of people think home health care is going to be completely covered by Medicare, but the truth is a lot of home health care services are actually not covered by Medicare. So that's the topic we're going to be going into today. What home health care is, the benefits of having it, and yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. So,
Right on. Well,
yeah.
I'll kind of just jump in and unfortunately, a lot of people are not educated thoroughly about what Medicare covers, what it doesn't. And if you don't have an agent that's been going over more than just your base medical plan, meaning if you're on an Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement, they need to be educating you on what it covers and what it doesn't and other products that you can add to protect yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
home health care is one, unfortunately, that a lot of people will eventually need. And in today's time, long-term care, in a nursing home is not covered by Medicare whatsoever. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost unaffordable for most families.
Yeah.
So there's an alternative where people would prefer to recover at their home. Maybe a family member's there to at least help out. A home health care agency can come in and help provide you the guidance and help that you truly need in your own home, giving you that peace of mind, not being in a nursing facility. And I can tell you, like, my great grandmother passed away in a nursing facility in January, and she was very scared going into that setting, and she lived all the way on all up to she was 95 years old by herself in her own home. So having that type of resource and at least option to get your care in your own home is very, very valuable.
Yeah, for sure. And it could take the burden off of your family members because the truth is, most home health care services are actually done by your family members. And it can be quite a burden. I mean, you don't want to be a burden on your family members. You want to be able to give them the breaks they need, or if they're not, a lot of family members might have full-time jobs and not be able to fully look after you, like Chris is saying. So it stops you from needing to go into those long-term care environments in certain situations. So
Yeah. So, like, if like you said, your kids are working full time, now they got to take time away from their job to
mhm.
take care of you. And there are ways that your family members can get paid. If you have any state Medicaid assistance, they can actually assign someone that's your family member to help you out in your home with those type of services, custodial care, which is, helping you out with bathing, getting dressed, moving in and out of chairs and things like that that may be difficult for you to do on your own. And then more of the ADLs, the daily activity living things,
Yeah.
whatever the terminology is. There's a lot of
Yeah.
acronyms, of course, with everything. And you can actually they can get paid from the state that you live in if you're on Medicaid, and they can help provide that service. Now, the one person, unfortunately, that cannot get paid is your spouse, because the state believes that they are morally obligated to take care of you, when you
Mhm.
got married. And that's the whole idea. But any other type of family member, your kids, your cousin, your neighbor, anyone that can pass a background check can get paid by the state. Like I said, if you have Medicaid, and help provide that service for you instead of a home healthcare agency coming in and doing that. Which
Mhm.
there's a lot of great home healthcare agencies, but sometimes people would prefer someone in their family or someone that they know and trust to help them out.
Okay. And then how can you protect yourself, Chris, from having to incur the cost of a home health care stay? Well,
Yeah,
not
great question.
necessarily stay, but yeah.
Great question. Yes. Let's say you have a surgery and you need to go into some type of rehab or something like that, and you decide, I want to get this type of care at my house. You can have a home health care agency come in, and there are products that us as
Mhm.
independent insurance brokers write for clients called home health care policies. And the nice thing about them is there's other benefits within the home health care product that you don't have to necessarily be receiving home health care to actually use benefits. So one really strong benefit is a prescription reimbursement. So there's different carriers that have these products, but one of our favorite ones, Heartland National, They offer a home healthcare policy that you can get up to $720 a year back on your prescriptions, even
Yeah.
if you're not receiving home healthcare. So, to kind of paint the picture of that, a lot of these products are not more than $60 a month. So,
Yeah.
720 divided by 12 is $60. A lot of these products that we write are less than $60 a month in premium. So it's kind of a hack because clients are able to get $15 per generic medication
Mhm.
covered, even if you're not paying for it, or if you're a veteran and you use the VA, you can file a reimbursement for your generic medications and $30 for your brand name medications. So what we do as agents is if we write you a home health care policy, you just get us the receipt of the pharmacy and the prescriptions on there. We file a claim online with the carrier and they reimburse you with a check. So it really offsets the cost of not only what you pay them in premium for the plan, but if you're on a lot of expensive
Mhm.
medications, that can really help you out with that cost that you may be running into. So it's an amazing product that unfortunately a lot of agents do not offer,
Yeah.
and that's why we're different here at the Medicare team. So
Yeah. Well, that's pretty crazy. So, if you're in the right situation, you're taking enough medications to fully take advantage of that benefit. A lot of times you're gonna be paying less. You're gonna be getting money back in a lot of situations, which is crazy.
yeah, absolutely. And then
Yeah.
there's other benefits within the home healthcare. So, of course, if you need the home healthcare benefit, a lot of these home healthcare agencies, they charge anywhere from $30 to $40 per hour, and they will have an hour minimum, usually 2 to 4 hours, that they will require one of their people to come in and help you out with. Let's say 30 times, let's say they're there for 3 hours, where you're out $90 a day already when you can get paid up to $150 a day to cover that home health care
Mhm.
cost and still be able to use the benefit of the home health or the prescription reimbursement as well. And then another benefit I wanted to talk about is there's additional riders you can add to help cover hospitalization. So there's a lot of things that we can add to it to thoroughly protect you when something happens.
Alright, and then what situations would you recommend someone get one of these policies?
Really, anybody that is paying for medications can benefit from this because we know that cost is only going to go up over time. So it doesn't matter if you're on a Medicare supplement and you get all your medical costs covered. If you are a veteran and the VA covers a lot of your medical costs, or you're on TRICARE, meaning you're retired from the military, a lot of people are on expensive medications, so they can benefit from a policy like this, not only for their medication costs, but also if they ever did need home health care, they have that benefit as well. And the great thing about these products is when you sign up for it, it stays the same premium the rest of your life. So you don't have to worry about what's the cost going to be next year and things like that. So the younger you are and obviously the healthier you are, the better because there are a few health questions, but unlike a lot of products, there's not as many health questions that you have to be concerned about. So as long as you're not having Alzheimer's, dementia, you're not
Mhm.
currently receiving home health care, you're not currently in the hospital, basically anybody can qualify. So it's a really
Yeah.
unique benefit that is important that you guys are educated on because if you're on Medicare, people get calls every single day, and really what is only talked about is Medicare Advantage when we need to go deeper and really educate our clients on,
Yeah.
yes, Advantage is one piece of the pie, but there's a lot of different things that we want to make sure that you are well informed on. So you know what to expect before something happens. And the last thing that we want is not explaining something to a client and then it happens. You can't get cancer insurance the day before you get cancer. You can't get life insurance the
Yeah.
day before you die. You can't get home health care before you need home health care. So it's really, really important to get the things locked in and protect you from the future risk that could come to any of us.
Mhm. And then what would you say to someone who's thinking, "Oh, I can't really afford a policy like that?"
Sometimes you can almost afford not to have it. So, the nice thing about it is we can play around with budget and all that. But, a lot of these products that we write for at least home healthcare in specific, anywhere from $40 to $60 a month is very manageable for a lot of
Mhm.
families. And again, with the prescription reimbursement, if you're getting money back towards that, it pays for itself, if not some.
Well, that's really good. Or sign me up. Sign me up, Chris. So, yeah, so do you wanna go into a little bit of, different ancillary products, or is there anything else you wanna go into with the home healthcare side of things?
We absolutely can.
Okay, well, let's go. So, what about cancer, heart attack, and stroke? With your experience, are there any stories you have around that and the clients you've helped with that?
Yeah, so unfortunately with cancer, people that are aging, the chances are only increasing. 1 in 2 men over 60 can get internal cancer, 1 in 3 women. And unfortunately, cancer is one of the most expensive things out there.
Mhm.
So, I have a client that I unfortunately didn't offer a cancer plan to earlier in my career. She got diagnosed with cancer and she went for her first radiation treatment because it's 20% of the cost if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan. It was almost $1,800. So people that get diagnosed with cancer are going to usually hit their out of pocket very quickly, depending on what you're going through. And 54% of cancer costs are non medical. So
Mhm.
you got to think traveling. I have a story of our landlord at our office went up to St. Louis, Missouri, and we're in Springfield. That's about 3 hours north of us for almost 4 months. So you got to think his wife got put in a hotel. That's not cheap. The
Yeah.
gas, the food. So there's a lot of non-medical costs that people don't think about outside of what they pay to their insurance plan. Also, a lot of chemotherapy drugs may or may not be covered by your insurance plan, and those are very, very expensive. So having
Mhm.
some type of lump sum protection for cancer, heart attack, or stroke is really, really important. Heart disease is the number one killer in the United States. Part of the reason, like I touched on earlier, is my dad has had a heart attack and he's 52 years old. So the chances of me potentially having heart disease is very high. So it doesn't matter how young you are, how healthy you are. We never know what's just around the corner. And again, with insurance, you have to have the coverage before something happens. So just planning for the future and protecting yourself. I'm not saying buy a million different insurance products, but
Yeah.
depending on what you've seen in your family and what we do with clients to really make sure we're being thorough is running a client needs assessment. So we're going to ask you, how's your health? What have you seen in your family? What's your income like? 'Cause we're not here to sell something that's unaffordable, and then we can kind of package things together and really protect you for life.
Yeah, for life. So let's say, you have a history, with cancer and your family both of your parents had it. How does the cancer insurance work? How does,
Yeah,
the
great
payout
question.
work
So
with
it
that?
it's a lump sum payment. You do have to be diagnosed with internal cancer. There are some, melanoma, skin cancer that you can get a small portion of that, but most of it's going to pay out on an internal cancer diagnosis.
Mhm.
And it's a lump sum payment. So very straightforward. Let's say you have a $50,000 cancer plan and you get diagnosed with cancer. You're getting a check for $50,000. And it's up to you to spend on it whatever you need. But the idea of it is to cover, your out of pocket cost if you have that. And cancer, people don't generally have for 1 year, they have it for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
So, we try to get multiple years of medical covered, factoring in any potential travel, things like that, in case you wanted to go to a specific specialist that, specializes in your specific type of cancer. So it's going to give you not only the peace of mind having that money, but just the flexibility to do with more with what you choose outside of your actual insurance plan and who you decide you're gonna go and see for that treatment.
Okay. And then let's get into hospital indemnity a little bit, here. So in what situation would hospital indemnity help protect you?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's go into what hospital indemnity is. So what's hospital indemnity?
Yeah, so a hospital indemnity it's essentially a gap policy that we build around whatever your copays are to your insurance plan. So these work with any Medicare Advantage plan, they work with any work insurance, they work with the marketplace. It doesn't really matter if you have cost copays, co-insurance, deductibles. We basically bundle a plan around that to cover what you would be responsible for to pay to your insurance company. So let's say you have a $3,000 deductible. Well, we want to make sure that we're covering that. And then what's your hospital copay per day? And then what's your out-of-pocket maximum? So we can figure, okay, what would be a good route to build this around? Because there's no perfect build for anybody. It really just
Mhm.
depends on your specific insurance plan. And the nice thing is it works with any plan. So let's say you decide to change in the future. It's a secondary policy to your base medical plan
Mhm.
that if something like that ever were to happen, we will file a claim. So you get what's called a UB04 form, similar to an itemized statement from the provider's office, the hospital, the urgent care, the ER, whatever it is. And we file a claim and you get reimbursed. And the nice thing about hospital indemnity is there's other riders we can add. So we cover ambulance, urgent care, outpatient surgery, skilled nursing care, things that just are not covered well by your insurance plan. And the nice thing about those as well is they don't ever go up in cost. So if you go the Medicare Advantage route, because a Medicare supplement goes up in cost every
Yeah.
single year and they can almost become unaffordable for some
Mhm.
families. The nice thing about a hospital indemnity is the price that you lock it in now is going to stay the same the rest of your life. So you can really plan for potential premiums you're going to have to pay in the future.
Alright, and then do you have any stories of clients where that's come into handy a lot with?
But yeah, tons, man. I mean, I had a client that another person, unfortunately, that had cancer could not afford going the Medicare supplement route when she turned 65. So, the nice thing about a lot of the hospital indemnity plans is we can write them without medical underwriting. So, right when you've turned 65, we're able to add that product for you without any health questions, even if you're going through any type of cancer diagnosis. She was on a marketplace plan and it was getting really, really, expensive for her. So she was scared going into Medicare. And we went the Medicare Advantage route. And now she has the peace of mind that most of her medical costs is covered. It's not going to cover a lot of your specialist visits. It's not going to cover, certain testing and things like that if we decide to add something like that on it. But
Mhm.
the majority of the gaps that you will be responsible for, we can really cover up and help protect you with.
Okay. And then back on the home healthcare side of things, do you have any stories there of clients, that have used that and have been very grateful, to you at all?
Not specifically yet. I've only been
Mhm.
selling home health care for about 6 months, so I haven't thankfully had to put in a claim yet, but
Yeah.
I know we're gonna have those come because we help thousands of
Yeah.
people. At some point, it will happen. It's just a matter of when, but
Mhm.
that's why we write these things ahead of time and really just provide the education so families truly know, but we do file the prescription reimbursements. I have
Yeah.
had a ton of those where, "Hey, bring in your receipt and we'll file the claim for you and get you reimbursed on your medication." So it's a really, really good product.
Okay. And then do you have any, client stories that you would like to share at all with our audience here, of just different situations where you were able to help someone out a lot?
Man, I've got 1,100 clients, so there's
Yeah.
always something. Like I said, my dad, he's had a heart attack. He's had multiple episodes since then with getting stents and things like that put in. Heart disease is very predominant in my family, unfortunately. But yeah, man, nothing specific can come to mind right
Nothing
at
that's
this second.
specific.
But yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me a story earlier about someone who, at your office, they filed a claim and they were crying because they got, you said, is that bringing back to mind that story? They're like crying because they got the money in the mail from the cancer, heart attack, and stroke plan.
Yeah, so, like, if a client gets diagnosed with cancer and we get them a lump sum payout, that's a big deal and for families that are living on fixed income. So, unfortunately, stress can add to a lot of what people are going through with not only did you just hear the worst news of your life, but
Mhm.
if you're on a fixed income, you're really worried about, well, what's the cost gonna be on my end? So, adding something like that can really, really help you and give you the peace of mind you're looking for moving forward.
Yeah. And then why should, our audience here work with a licensed agent?
Instead of going on your own,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, a lot of people do not understand the way this works. You don't just want to log into Medicare.gov and enroll yourself in a plan because it's not always the most accurate plugging in all your doctors and medications and who's covered and what the cost is going to be. So, working with a licensed agent, we go through certifications every single year with the different states that we decide to write in and then the different products that we write to make sure that we're on top of our game and really understand and then provide that education to you is really the
Mhm.
big thing. And it doesn't cost to work with an agent. We make commissions. So if we help you out with a product, we get paid from that insurance carrier. So you don't have to worry about what's the fee going to be for this. I've had people ask me, and there is no charge. So that is another plus. You don't have to worry about paying someone to help you out with a service. We get paid from the insurance companies with whatever product that we write you year after year.
Well, thank you, Chris, for coming on the podcast today. Is there anything else you want to go over before we end today's episode? You've been very helpful with all this explaining of all these
Just making
products.
sure, your life insurance is in a good spot. Touching
Hmm.
back on my great grandmother, she only had $4,000 worth of life insurance, and I saw my family have to go out of pocket to pay for her funeral cost. And now they're going through an estate sale and all that. But it is now May, and she passed away in January. So, yes, they're going to get some money from the estate sale, but you're thinking like months if
Hmm.
you even sell your stuff, like months drug out. So the funeral home's going to want that money as soon as possible. So making sure you have enough life insurance to cover funerals,
Hmm.
because in today's time, I'd say $10,000 is really the bare minimum for a decent funeral. Of course, cremation's cheaper, but cost is only going to go up over time. So making sure that you're fully protected there. And if you have questions on that, please give these guys a call.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Chris, so much for coming on,
Thank you.
we look forward to having you on here again.
All right.
And if anyone wants to schedule a free consultation, there should be a link in the description or somewhere around this video that you'll be able to click on. You can schedule and talk to one of us here at the Medicare team. We're licensed brokers. We work with a bunch of different companies, so we're always going to be doing what's in your best interest, not just one insurance company's. So thank you for watching, and hope you all have a great rest of your day.